Presented by Wearable Fandom. Welcome to Where Mighty Things, episode 36. We are live, and this episode is being streamed and recorded on July 31st, 2025. This is a podcast all about the Roosevelts brand and community. Fandom, fashion, and friends is what we're all about here on Where Mighty Things. And if that sounds like fun, well, my friend, you have come to the right place. Want to remind you guys right up front, to receive all of our content updates, please subscribe, ring that little bell to get notifications of all of our new content as it releases. It's great to be back with you, everyone. My name is Dustin, and I am your host. And for just a little bit here at the beginning of the show, I'm going to be flying solo. We had a slight scheduling snafu. John will be jumping on here in just a few minutes. In the meantime, you're stuck with me. There we go. Ron is here, and he has said that he is on some good drugs and ready to hang out with some good friends. Ron, I hope that your procedure went very well today and that indeed you are on those good drugs and just relaxed and hanging out. And thank you to Ricky and to Ron last week for stepping in and co-hosting. And they were a fantastic duo. I hope you guys agree. They did a great job. I was watching actually from San Diego Comic-Con. And I thought they did a fantastic job. We may have to bring them back again. What did you guys think? It's always nice to have a deep bench when it comes to a show like this, where you want to have a fairly consistent time. And we moved the time actually today, partially for two reasons. One, to ease up on the scheduling snafu that we kind of bumped into. But two, we wanted to see if this actually was a little bit more convenient for both East and West Coast. So this would be 8 o'clock on the East Coast and 5 o'clock on the West Coast. We had noticed over the last few shows that we get a couple of pop-ins from folks on the West Coast, but a lot of times they're still at the end of their workday. That doesn't make it easy for them to participate. But with this time, we're hoping that it's a good balance. So we may adjust the keep tuning this time. Please provide feedback to us and let us know. You can drop us an email, wearablefandom@gmail.com, and let us know, what do you think? What's the best time actually that we should be conducting and holding this stream so that you guys can join in and participate? Of course, you can always watch the archive here on Wearable Fandom, our channel. But I like it a lot more when people are here. It makes it a lot more fun. And it certainly makes a huge difference in the quality of the show when people are here, engaged, and actually talking with us. Oh my gosh! Well, what to say? So while we were out, and Ricky and Ron were hosting last week, doing a fantastic job trying to put us out of a job, we John and I were splitting our attention. John was out on a cruise with family celebrating his birthday, and I was at San Diego Comic-Con and putting on I was trying to cover all of the show, and I did quite a bit of that over on our sister channel, the Fandom Traveler. And if you are not familiar with the Fandom Traveler, then it's I will put this up. The Fandom Traveler is the name of our sister channel. You can find us on YouTube, and we have coverage of almost all. I haven't posted all of the videos that I actually captured there, but we have coverage of almost all of Comic-Con. And I got to say, Comic-Con was fantastic. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time here riffing, telling you what I loved about Comic-Con. Happy to take any questions that you guys have about Comic-Con. And yes, there, Dan, I am here. There you are. Here you are. Good to see you, Dan. Thanks for joining. Happy to take questions that you guys have about Comic-Con, but let me just riff for a second here and talk about my experience at Comic-Con. I've been going to Comic-Con for, I want to say maybe this was my 7th year. This goes back to pre-COVID times. I think 2018 was my first year, and I've loved it. At the time when I first started going, I went with my friend Alan, old high school buddy who I had worked with professionally, designer of theme park rides. If you've been to Universal Studios, you've seen his work. He has a lasting legacy in the theme parks as an artist and a designer on a lot of the rides, especially at Disney and some of them at SeaWorld. And he used to get a professional badge. A professional badge means that you are invited to come and you can bring one extra person. You have to pay for that second badge, but you can get 2 tickets. And sometimes Comic-Con is a hard ticket to get. I don't know how many of you have tried, but Comic-Con can be a really, really hard ticket to get. And so my friend Alan would hook me up, and for several years he did that. And then I said to him, you know what, I'm actually going to get my own pass. And I did that. And so I got my own badge, and I've been going since. And I've always had a great time when I've gone to Comic-Con, always had a great time. The thing I realized this year was I had done such a better job preparing for the event that I was able to provide, in my opinion, much more meaningful coverage as a content creator for you guys. But more importantly, I got to try a lot of stuff that I normally wouldn't do. And if you want to see an example of like the contrast here, if you get bored and you go back and look at this channel, this is where Wearable Fandoms, where I posted all of my stuff from last year. I did 3 days of back-to-back show floor coverage. Now, it was different things every day because the show floor is huge, but I was actually able to do a lot of different things this time because I was better prepared. And so I like to think that some of that came from the fact that I was preparing and creating content, get ready for Comic-Con type content for you guys. And I knew a lot more about what was going on. I was better prepared. I knew where to go. I knew what I wanted to see. I knew what looked interesting to me. And all told, it was fantastic. So what did I get to see? Well, there's some things that you can see on the other channel. Of course, lots and lots of great stuff on the show floor. There were some really fantastic stuff, a lot of great booths. I got to go to the Paramount Lodge, early on another area chatting away. Well, welcome, Anthony the Seas. It's good to see you. Here we are. Dan and I were early on another area chatting away. Well, you guys came to the right place. Thank you for finding us. And so I got to go. I was just talking about the Paramount Lodge. The Paramount Plus Lodge has historically been an incredibly hard ticket to get. And the lines were really, really long. If you had a ticket, it probably was about a 1 hour wait in line for people on average. If you were in what they called standby line, the standby line was probably more like 3 hours with no promise of getting in. And so I actually did some really funny stuff here. And in fact, actually, I got a ticket on the first night. Okay. And so this was the thing that actually set the tone for my con. On the first night at 6 o'clock on preview night, this is Wednesday. This was when the first Roosevelts exclusives were going to become available. This was when the Sith Floral and the Purgle were going to be available. And Roosevelts had kind of communicated what they were going to do. There was going to be a certain number of wristbands. They were going to sell a shirt. And if you had a wristband, you would be able to buy that shirt. They wouldn't guarantee you the size, but they would guarantee you a shirt. And if you're a collector, I guess that's cool. If you're somebody who's a reseller, I guess that's okay. For me, doing neither of those things, I just want to get the shirt that's my size so I can wear it, which I think is probably the most typical case. And so my Paramount tickets came at 6 o'clock, which was when the show floor opened. And so I was there with the decision, do I go and try to get those shirts, or do I go to the Paramount Lodge? And I knew that it was going to be insanity over there. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Roosevelt side of San Diego Comic-Con. And turns out I was right. So I went ahead and went to the lodge. I saw all the cool things there, got a great video out of it, and I had a good time. I also had an extra ticket, so I was able to pull somebody out of that standby line. I just walked through and said, is anybody here by themselves? And I said, do you want to get in? And the guy's like, heck yeah. And so I met this really cool guy named Curtis, and we went in. He had a great time. Chances are he might have gotten in, but he had been sitting there already for like 3 hours. So taking him out of the maybe and bringing him into the you've got a ticket to get in was pretty cool. So I headed over, of course, afterwards and made my show floor video for preview night. Awesome experience. Of course, I stopped by the booth. They were all out of wristbands, and that did not surprise me at all. But all told, I got to go to the King of the Hill activation, which is on the backside, the bay side of the convention center. That's not normally where I've gone to Comic-Con in, I would say, my previous 5 years or 6 years of going. I would go back there and see that stuff, but I never participated. And part of it was because I'm allergic to lines. And I'll wait in lines for things I feel are really, really worth it. But usually those things were not considered to be worth it. So I got lucky and was able to go into the King of the Hill setup. I got lucky into the Paramount Plus Lodge setup. I got lucky to go into the Abbott Elementary, and some of you might have seen I posted on Insiders. I posted up on Insiders that I was on a Ferris wheel, and that video has yet to be posted. I need to edit that down and post that. But the Abbott Elementary, I don't even know that show. I know that show. I don't necessarily watch that show, but it was super cool to be able to go up on a Ferris wheel at Comic-Con. And, I had to take a video of that. So I didn't get to see everything. The Alien Earth exhibit, I didn't get to see. There's a Predator Badlands one, which is another thing that was right in my wheelhouse. I didn't get to see. But I think I got pretty good coverage. You've got to make some choices at Comic-Con. I didn't get to see the Fantastic Four one. There was a Google one that looked really cool, and the line was just insanely long. So, you've got to make choices and trade-offs, and those are the things that I did. But I saw a lot more of the show than I normally did historically. On Friday, I actually sat and went to every single one of the Star Wars panels that they had. So on Friday, I missed the very, very, very first one, which was it started at 10 o'clock and I couldn't even get in at 10. But at 11 o'clock, that's when the high-end Star Wars collector panel came through. And that's where they showed off a lot of the new sculpts. They showed off a bunch of the new characters and things like that they do. Sideshow was there. All of the big ones that were there. Really cool stuff. A lot of things for housewares. They had towel racks that were Gamorrean guard heads with the towel rack ring in their mouth. That was kind of cool. A lot of fun stuff like that. Stayed for and listened to the publishing panels where they talked about the Audible and publishing stuff that they were doing. Heard about secrets from one of the guys who was a marketing manager for Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and just really cool. Spent the whole day there, had a blast. All told, Comic-Con was fantastic. And Comic-Con, this was my best experience at Comic-Con. That's the thing I want to leave you guys with, because there are going to be some things that I'm probably going to talk about a little bit that didn't go so great. And some of those in the direction of Roosevelts, and just in terms of how things happen to go. And this is not necessarily a criticism of Roosevelts. There were some things I think they could have done better and probably will do better. They're very, very good at learning from their previous experiences. And so we'll talk a little bit about those. But if you've got any questions about Comic-Con or any of the videos that you've seen, or things that you didn't see, or you would just want an opinion about it, by all means, drop it in the chat here and I'll do my best to answer for you guys. Now, Ron says, yeah, the videos you posted so far have been awesome. Thanks for sharing all of that with us. You are welcome. And I want you guys to also understand very briefly just what is involved with that. So in order for me to get those videos up, we're working on hotel Wi-Fi, and I need a better solution. So if you've got a solution for this, please, by all means, I do want to hear this. I'm working with hotel Wi-Fi. I'm exporting 4K videos, which the average of those tends to be something like 30 to 40 gigs if it's about an hour. And it takes a long time to upload those videos. It's just the way it is. And so, yeah, I had to leave the show early most days, head back to the hotel, copy down from my camera, throw that stuff in and edit it. I had to color grade it. I had to do all that stuff and basically get it ready. And then once I could push it up, I could go get dinner or something like that. And there were a couple of times where that worked out perfectly. There were other times when that didn't work so well. So I was usually leaving at about 3 o'clock or 3:30 to go back and get that stuff going, so I could actually spend the evening doing some of the stuff that I had planned. Now I got there on Tuesday. So the first day, I walked around the exterior, and you might have seen the video where I was just showing you all the stuff that was under construction, which was kind of cool, just showing you the lay of the land. And then Wednesday, we already talked a little bit about that. Thursday was the official first day of the show. And then, Friday was Mosh Isley. We had a meetup at Stone Brewery, which is great beforehand, which was fantastic. All that stuff was just really, really fun. I also got to go to a screening of the 1989 Tim Burton Batman movie with a live orchestra playing the soundtrack, which was super, super cool. It was right outside of Petco Park in the center field area. If you've ever been to Petco Park, they call it Gallagher Square, I guess, is the area. So if you go outside, like past the center field, there's just a little area out in the back there, and you can basically see the movie. And they had the orchestra there. That was super cool. That was what I was doing while everybody else was in the Roosevelts panel. Exactly. So yeah. So then what do we see here? Anthony of the Seas says Roosevelt's getting more popular and more licenses. They may have to have private events at the hotel, maybe like the meetup exclusives. I don't know. Really, really great point. And I want to hold off on talking about that stuff for just a little bit longer because John's going to join us in a couple minutes, and I want to make sure he's here to kind of hear the Roosevelt specific stuff. But if you guys have any other questions about Comic-Con, I'm happy to answer and cover off on those. So what do I think happens next time as a result of this? Well, I think I'm probably going to need help next year making content because there's just too many things that I want to have content for, and there's only one of me. I did get to do one thing that is not announced, and I haven't announced it, and I'm not going to announce it here. I'm just going to let you guys know that I actually worked on a bit of a secret side project while I was there. It wasn't secret to the people who were helping me with it, but it was a side project, something that I've been thinking about for 6 months. And I was able to do some really fun stuff. And I spent a lot of time making content, not just walking around the show floor, but it came at a cost. And the cost in my experience was I didn't get as much time to hang out with everybody that was at the show. And some of them were going to the zoo, and some of them went to see the Fantastic Four on Thursday night. That was one of the things that people did. I got invited to go to that, but I couldn't go to that. I had to make sure that those videos got up and got out. And so, I missed out on some of that fun stuff. That would have been a lot of fun to be able to go see the movie with folks. I did get to go to the Pizza Beard party. It was held in a different location than last year, a much better location, I'll add. But it was really hot. And that was really an interesting theme that you guys might have noticed or heard coming back from San Diego Comic-Con. The weather in San Diego was incredible. The weather was just taking the entire week in stride. It was incredible. It was amazing. I would say that it was some of the best weather I've ever experienced in San Diego. And I'm there on average, maybe once a month on average. Sometimes I go a couple times a month, but I would say I'm down there a lot. So I've seen the varying degrees of San Diego weather, and it was beautiful. But you get into certain places where there's not a lot of airflow, and that's where you get into trouble. And so the pizza place, the back area where they had seating, which is where most of the people were hanging out, especially the parents that had kids, those areas were just stifling hot. You might also have heard that the panel that happened on Friday night was also just blazing. Something happened at the hotel and the AC was shot, which was nobody's fault. It just was a thing that happened, and nobody can plan for that. And so they brought down fans and tried to, but you got 100 people in a small room. It was just terrible. I should say, actually, so that there's no confusion, I was not at the panel. I was definitely not at the panel. I did not get a ticket. I actually tried to get a ticket, and there were 100 tickets sold, and it was just too hard to get in. There was some conversation about the possibility of people being able to sneak in on the edges, but I was not going to take the chance of that. And to be honest, given, the heat situation, I'm kind of glad that I didn't. There was a stream of that stuff. People could watch that on stream, but it was better, for me to just watch the stream and figure out what was going on from there, as opposed to enduring it like everybody else. Now, Dan threw a great question into the chat. What was your favorite cosplay that you saw? I think if you guys have been following social media, there was a massive, probably 11-foot tall Galactus that was walking around. And if you didn't see that Galactus, you're missing out. The Galactus was absolutely the star on the podcast side of the show. And it turns out that that guy actually travels. The person who built that, you can actually see some pieces. He had stilts where basically, he had long stilts for the calf and feet, and then basically his foot and his legs were Galactus's thighs. So you can see right there, the guy's like 11 feet tall, maybe even taller. And then he was just walking around. He was massive. It was awesome. I mean, it was a great build. I don't know the name of the cosplayer that did this particular Galactus, but I have seen this guy in San Francisco before. I think he's West Coast, and he came to the Fan Expo in San Francisco that happens in November, and he had a similar quality build, not of Galactus, but he had it of the Rhino, which is the Spider-Man's enemy, the Rhino, who can basically run through stuff, and it was equally large. And I'm positive because it was a similar style of creation and construction. And he could be there and he would walk around and do his thing. And then, he had to get out of there. Plus, I saw him taking the Rhino costume off while I was there. And I could see that it's like pretty draining to wear that thing. So he was probably hot and sweaty in that Galactus gear. But Galactus, hands down, was the guy. No doubt. Who's my backup? I'm going to give you a backup because I had a much easier cosplay, but one that really had me chuckling on Saturday. I'm losing track of the days. On was it Saturday? Yeah, Mosh was I don't know. It was like 5 days. On the night of Mosh Isley, I did get to attend Mosh. I had a great time. You've probably seen photos of that. Always a great time to go to Mosh Isley. There was somebody that was walking around as radar technician Matt. And if you know SNL, they made a sketch where they had Adam Driver on, and it was Undercover Boss, Star Killer Base. And they had Kylo Ren go undercover as Matt, the radar technician. Let me see. Maybe I can find this really quick video for you guys and show you. What I really want to show you is actually just the costume. I don't need to show you everything, but let me switch over here. Let's see. Are we doing this? No. We'll do this. No, this. Yeah. I'm out of practice here. Here we go. Yes, I remember it well. So
today the best mobile
yes, let's watch an ad
that
has nothing to do with us.
You see millions of real customers tested in networks.
All right, we'll do this until
that
settles itself all down.
An instant talk and say, you won't believe where I am.
But yeah, it was pretty interesting.
We follow the boss of a major organization as they go undercover to find out what's really going on in their company. This is Undercover Boss, Star Killer Base.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren.
So I think you guys have probably seen this. If you haven't, it's a great video. We're not going to show the whole thing
wiping
here.
out the Galactic Resistance. This week, Kylo is going undercover among Star Killer Base personnel.
Radar technician Matt.
A radar technician.
You get so caught up in restoring the galaxy to its rightful state that you miss the galaxy to its right.
Oh, come on, Kylo. So
Kylo is
basically this person was wearing this radar technician Matt outfit, and I really loved it, and it had me laughing my head off at Mosh. I could not stop laughing because the person had hair. They weren't wearing a wig. They had hair that basically was the exact same color as Matt's, had the perfect glasses, it was everything. It was everything. And I just was laughing because I remembered the sketch. I remembered how funny it was. And this 100% is a deep cut cosplay. Yes, exactly, Dan. Deep cut cosplay is the best cosplay. Exactly. I really loved this. I really, really did. And I thought that this was something that was super, super cool. So it was nice to see that. It was nice to, and I got a picture with that person, and I'll post that up on our wearable fandom Facebook page for you guys to enjoy. I try to, at Mosh Isley, they have a couple of levels for like VIPs. You have the bottom level, which is where all the rank and filers are, and you have a upper level and a VIP level. This person was able to go to the top floor. So I don't know who they were or who they knew or whose party they were in. All I know is that I saw them. I wanted to go say hi, and they went scooting off up the stairs. And not every mosh has a perfect setup like that, the way that the Music Box does in San Diego. The one in Orlando, for example, if they did in the same place, I don't even think they offered VIP because it's just one big sort of warehouse looking kind of nightclub space. It doesn't make sense. Won't work. And so all told there, it was a great time. It was a great time. Now I am going to shift gears here a little bit and start talking just a little bit about the Roosevelt stuff that happened at San Diego. Now, I think, and you can queue up your questions because I know that some of you might have been there, some of you were not able to be there and might have wanted to be there. But let me talk just a little bit about how they distributed the wristbands and what their process was and what the knock-on effects of that experience are, because I think this is going to be the way that they do things going forward. And for what I understood, this was not the first time they did this. In fact, Denver might have been the first time that they actually tried this approach. I need to get a new mic stand, unfortunately, here. But so I think they might have tried this in Denver, but it cannot be understated that the magnitude of San Diego Comic-Con it's the largest con in North America, hands down. So there's nothing else in North America like it. The second largest, if I recall correctly, is New York Comic-Con, followed by MegaCon in Orlando, followed by Toronto Fan Expo. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of attendance. So anything that you do at a con that's not one of those top 4 hasn't been battle tested until it's had to deal with that level of demand and that level of coordination and optimization, et cetera. So I think they tried this. Maybe they tried it at Denver, and then they had to field test it in San Diego. And that's basically where we got to. Before we shift gears here, Ron says, I want to cosplay as Wilro Hood, the Star Wars ice cream man. Heck yeah, man. That would be also a deep cut. And before we dive into it, Ron says Denver didn't have wristbands, but did do the limits on exclusives from day to day. Okay. All right. So they did have some things. All right. So there were a bunch of rules that they posted, and the rules were not as helpful as I think they were intended to be, because the rules, if you read them literally, said that you could get one wristband, you could buy one exclusive. And that meant that, for example, on that first day, if you got a wristband, you then had to choose between the Purgle shirt or the Sith floral shirt, but not both. And that turns out not to be what they intended. In fact, what they wanted actually was something very different. They wanted you to be able to buy one shirt if you got a wristband per exclusive per day. That was the point. And they weren't not trying to not sell the shirts, and they weren't trying to make you limit. Although if I thought about it a little bit more, it might have been better for them to actually offer you a wristband in a slightly different way. So I wasn't there for the first day. I mentioned I was at the lodge, and doors open on preview night. Immediately, everybody goes to the Star Wars Pavilion. If you don't know about the show floor layout or anything like that, if you watch my videos at the Fandom Traveler, you'll see the show floor for Star Wars. It's in the same spot as it always is. It has the same layout. Like, they have other brands there. They have the Enso rings. They have Stance that makes a bunch of Star Wars socks. They have the Squatch, Dr. Squatch guys. There was only one thing that was new this year, and that was Civil Regime, which is another clothing brand, and that they were right across from the Roosevelts. Everything else was identical. The hall location, the spot, etc., and the position for Roosevelts, their booth, everything was the same. So people beelined it over. Now, one of the things that people have complained about in the past, especially for San Diego Comic-Con, is the idea that exhibitors were getting into line early because they were able to get on the show floor early. And then as soon as the show opens, now you've got 20 exhibitors there that are all trying to get access to the exclusives and that they can buy up a bunch of them, or at least guarantee that they get them. It's also got to be said that San Diego Comic-Con is like the Olympic level sports of gamesmanship for getting access to exclusives, period. You just have to understand that there is a lot of games being played. And I'm not going to blow up anybody's spot. I'm not going to talk about the who's or the what's, but I am going to be very honest about what I saw and what I learned and what I heard about how things were happening. Now, some of this is not going to be news to you guys, but some of it was clarifying to me. And it made it very clear to me that I was not going to stand in line for a shirt. So several people messaged me. Some people watching this chat right now messaged me and asked me to get them a shirt. And I was perfectly willing to pick up a shirt for them. But I was certainly not going to be able to stand in line and get them a shirt because the game, I felt, was very rigged against me. How so? Number one, Dan throws one right in here. Don't hate the player, hate the game. I don't hate the player, but I'll be very honest. The designs this year did not super appeal to me. And when we look at some of them, like the Sith Floral, I know people will love that shirt. It sold out immediately. I was very soft on it. And when I saw it in person, I was even softer on it because I thought that the flower was going to have like a brighter glow, or was going to have like a redder red to match the lightsaber color. And it looks good and people like it and they love that there's a lightsaber on it, but I didn't like it when I saw it. And usually it's the reverse of that, right? Usually we see the shirts and we just see these designs. And then when we see them in person, we're like, oh my gosh, the Purgle shirt, complete opposite. I looked at the Purgle shirt and I'm like, oh, gold foil, how good is it going to look? Space whales, who cares? The Purgle shirt was awesome. I was absolutely 180 off on that one. So I thought I was going to love the Sith Floral. I thought I was going to dislike the Purgle, and it was actually the inverse for both of those things. And yeah, don't hate the player, hate the game. I don't care. People, here's what I know. All these shirts are right now available on BST. And I would gladly pay $40, maybe $50 to not stand in those lines and not deal with that pressure. Somebody else wants to do that, I'll throw that money down if it's a shirt that I think is really good. And so all of the shirts that I could have stood in line and gotten, I can now basically buy from somebody who doesn't want them anymore or never bought them with the intention of keeping them in the first place. So back to the gamesmanship. One, people who are not insiders, and that doesn't mean that they're not legitimate consumers of Roosevelts, but I mean, it means that they're not part of the insider community. They're not the kind of people who are stumbling across this podcast, right? They're not the kind of people who are posting or supporting each other in any of the various insider related or spinoff groups, right? These are people who like the brand, know that the shirts are valuable, and they want in. Those people brought to bear on this competition as well. So you have people who have, number one, exhibitor badges, but they're not working in booths. Those people get on the show floor early. Those people are able to meander and wander over in the direction, maybe 5 minutes beforehand. And those people can be, third, fourth, or fifth in line as a result of being able to get access earlier. So that's an advantage that very few people can get directly, but some people can get indirectly. Another thing that happens at Comic-Con is access to ADA badges, which allow you a different line for many things. Comic-Con is about an honor system. And if you say you need an ADA badge, they will give you one. And if you have an ADA badge, they're going to let you and somebody else get access and get in earlier. And they're not going to ask you questions. And so you've got people who are abusing that just a little bit. Pardon me. Usually I have a co-host here helping me helping me out here. Okay, all right. Speaking of which, I ought to make sure I don't have a message from that guy. Where is he? Well, all right, so he'll be here soon. So you've got people with ADA badges. which anybody can get. You've got people with exhibitor badges. And then on top of that, you have people with relationships to people who work at the show who indirectly choose to apply the rules that have been set up about who can loiter around booths because of their relationships with people. And that tells me all I need to know. That tells me that I'm 3 steps behind anybody who's trying to get an exclusive. And the truth is, we're talking about Roosevelts here, but this could be applied to any other exclusive that you want to think about. Funko, 100% soft. You wanted to get any of the Thrill Joy stuff. Peanuts was an impenetrable line. Dan Delaney was standing in line trying to get into line for Peanuts 3 days in a row and could not. People with these advantages are able to get into the show floor and to basically be in the right place to buy stuff, and they have an unfair advantage. How many of them are there? I don't know. That's the part, because I'm not there to see, but I know I would not be surprised if there were 10, 15, 20, maybe more, 20% of them. So if you have 100 wristbands for the day, 20% of them are gone, and you had 0 chance of getting those. That doesn't mean it's not worth just going and standing in line, but still. So people showed up. People did not have an orderly application of request for wristbands. So you had one person at the booth that was trying to put wristbands, and you had all these people reaching over and sticking their arms in. And there were people like reaching over from behind that were not in the same like proximity or not in the same order. Like people were trying to line up roughly, but they were circling around this person because all they cared about was getting the wristband. And I think that there is actually a solution to this that I would strongly encourage Roosevelts to look at for next year. And that is, so it was a little bit of a madhouse. They have 100 wristbands to give out. You've got maybe 80 people around one or two people trying to give out these wristbands. And once they're gone, they're gone. And once they're gone, there's no more sales of exclusives for the entire day, period. Like that's it. And that is that's a bit frustrating for people. So let's talk about the positives, and then I'll talk about the opportunities for improvement on this particular topic next time. So what was positive about this? It turns out that the staff has a pretty good idea of the throughput of how long it takes them to sell a certain number of shirts. And because of the fact that they box the number of wristbands that they have a really good idea of how to handle that early morning rush, get those shirts out to those people's hands. And then it takes the all day pressure off of the staff, meaning that they can actually let people go take breaks. They can rotate people through, and they don't have to worry about policing if somebody's coming back to buy another one. Because if you don't have if you have a wristband and you bought one, you've bought it. That's it for the stock for that day. If you and they don't have to worry about that question anymore once those wristbands are kind of alleviated. So it actually reduces the pressure and the stress on the staff. And I think that that's actually a win for this new system. I think it's a great opportunity. And yeah, so Dan says that's the game to hate. All they do is make things cost more for the real fans. Yeah, I think there are a lot of people who are interested in Roosevelts that are not insiders. And I think that's fine. I think that's absolutely fine. In fact, it probably should be encouraged on some levels. That's how the company is actually going to be able to grow. I just think that insiders sometimes have a sense of entitlement about what they deserve to have. And I don't agree with that necessarily. You're just customers. You might be super fans. You might be brand ambassadors in some cases, but you don't really deserve anything else other than a good shirt for the price that you paid for it, right? If you stand in line, you buy it, you're there you go. Like everything else is bonus. They take us out for drinks, food, all this extra stuff, all of it's bonus. It's not stuff that we're entitled to. So what is the possibility of things that might be changeable for next year that I think that they should strongly consider? Number one, well, actually there is one. There's just one for the wristbands. The upstairs, they have this very, very large open area called the sales pavilion. And then this is where most of the autographs are actually given. And you can look back at some of my videos and you can find where this is at. It also doubles for distribution of exclusives when you get wristbands for autographs and things like that. They have a point in time where you need to go to the sales pavilion and then you line up in a queue and you get a wristband. Why is this a potential better option? Well, number one, nobody has an advantage. Nobody gets into the sales pavilion early. So people who are exhibitors or people who are just lining up to get into the show, everybody starts on the same foot. Maybe there's a little bit of gamesmanship to be played here, but it's not the same level. It's not ADA people don't get up there early. You just get up there and you get in a line. And these are pre-built lines that they already have that are used temporarily and multiple times throughout the day. So if they used one of these little lines, people would line up. They wouldn't have people reaching over. You would just be given a wristband in the order of the line that you came in. They could count the number of people in line. They could cap the line when it hits 100. And then they could say, look, sorry, the wristbands haven't been distributed, but they're done for the day. And then there's not a mad rush of people at the booth trying to do that. And so that feedback, I think, has been shared with HQ. And it's a much better, I hope, way for them to do it. How will they do it at other places? I don't know. I don't know if they can replicate this at New York Comic Con, because I don't think I've seen or observed the same kind of situation at New York Comic Con. The autographs area for New York Comic Con has the shoots automatically sort of built into it. Yeah, right. Dustin for the COO. Coo. Yeah, more like cuckoo, because I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, Dan. But it's an interesting idea. I think they should explore it, at least for San Diego. But they need to have a backup plan for cons that can't do this. And I bet MegaCon can't do this. Maybe New York can't do this. Maybe Toronto can't do it. Maybe San Diego is the only place where this works. I think San Diego is the most aggressive place, though. And so I would encourage them to do this. Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about the shirts. I don't know what shirts you guys loved. I already said that the Purgle was, I was wrong about it. I thought it was just going to be an average shirt. It was awesome. And while we're there at the show, the other Star Wars drop happens. Now, there's something really important that I think people listening to this podcast need to understand about the Roosevelts. And it's something, I don't want to say that I didn't understand this, but I felt it this time. I felt it in my bones. And that is to say that the insiders community, for as large as it is, let's say that it's 40,000 people. Let's say it's that many people, which is huge, right? Imagine 40,000 people going after 100 shirts. Like it's gonna create some crazy demand. I think that the insiders community has a very, very high annual spend with Roosevelt's relative. You buy 3, 4, 5 shirts. I think you are the kind of person that over indexes, where maybe the average customer gets 1 or 2 and insiders might get on average 5 a year. But I think that we reflect a much smaller percentage of the overall Roosevelt's business than probably would be believed. And by that, what I would say is that my gut feeling, this is just a gut feeling and just a guess. I would say that Roosevelt's insiders, including their spend, would at maximum be 5% of the total business that Roosevelt's does on an annual basis. 5%, which means that 95% of everything Roosevelt's makes in a year is coming from people who are not the people that we hang out with, the people who are watching this podcast, the people who watch DGens, the people who go to all of the meetups and hang out and have a super community. And to be honest, that's actually great. Why do I think that? Because things like that Star Wars drop. The Star Wars drop happened when it did because the business needs to keep moving. It didn't happen to, we're going to screw these guys over. It's like, look at what happened just the last week. Squid Games, Star Wars, Happy Gilmore too, right? The Happy Gilmore stuff came out, right? Squid Game, Star Wars. Then we had Lord of the Rings. We had the Lord of the Rings announcement while we were still at Comic-Con. Then today, Sonic the Hedgehog. And on Friday, there's a drop zone. Now, the drop zone, I think, is much, much more for insiders, but those are some very heavy-hitting licenses, and they wouldn't be dropping those if they were counting on insiders to carry the load of those sales. So all I'm trying to share here with you guys is just a little bit of information about how I think we should be framing and thinking about their business and our role in it. I think everybody's cool. We enjoy hanging out with them. We like learning from them. But I personally have a feeling that our relationship with Roosevelts is going to change substantially over the course of the next couple of years. All right. Now, let me see here. Yeah. Sorry, just checking in with my co-host here. Now, Anthony says, yes, great analysis. I'm intrigued since I've only been at Philly Fan Expo and I basically get a shirt or two and head and leave considering next year, but good point. Just get it on BST. I mean, that's it for me. I think I'm done standing in line for Roosevelts, to be honest. And the only reason why I would do it is if I promised somebody that I would, or there was something I really wanted. But it's very clear that they want the exclusives to be available for a longer period of time, which I'm supportive of, because these, I think I said this, I don't know, I'm in a bunch of different chat groups, but I've said this in a couple of chat groups. Comic-Con is not a money-making, profit-seeking endeavor. This is a direct-to-consumer business that sells 99%, man, I don't want to say that much, but I would say like 85% of their sales, maybe 80%, coming from direct to consumer, and the rest of it coming from incremental sales at cons, and then whatever they sell in the parks at Buc-ee's, etc., right, at Hallmark and those other places. They don't have massive distribution in the big box retailers, right? They don't have an Amazon store. And even if they did it, that's just a different version of direct to consumer. So I think, so I'm willing to pay a little bit more to not have to wait in that line and get shirts. And that, you know, I was a little soft on the shirts this year, and that's not to say I didn't buy anything. I picked up a few things for some folks. I also bought the Andor polo, which I thought was a really, really good looking shirt. But none of the rest of it really spoke to me. And I don't know that it wouldn't be that I wouldn't wear it if I could have it, but I didn't want it so much that I was willing to deal with or pay the upcharge for it, deal with the line or pay for the upcharge. So I think that's really kind of what I'm trying to communicate with you guys here. Okay, so let's keep on jamming here. They had the panel, and the panel was really difficult ticket to get. They only had 100 seats in the panel. This was on Friday evening, and we already talked about the fact that the hotel room was hot. They tried to live stream it. Did anybody here watch it on the live stream? Because I was trying to watch it on the live stream, and you couldn't hear very well what they were talking about. And so there were a bunch of things that they talked about. They did announce like Lord of the Rings and Sonic. They made some mentions of those. But the most important thing that they talked about is something that's coming to us next Monday. And that's what I want to spend my energy on for this segment talking about. And that is a brand new loyalty program. So if you've seen the Camp Kunu pop-up in your app, or you've seen it on social media, Camp Kunu, I believe, is the name. Hot at the panel, like a boat, not a ship. Yes, thank you for making sure. I'm on a boat. I'm on a ship. Yes, it was so hard to hear on the panel. Yes, exactly. And so I followed up with people and said, hey, what were you guys talking about? Because no one could understand you or could hear you. So we had the panel. They talked about a lot of stuff. The panel had all of the staff that was present at the show. It also had Jake Holland, Pizza Beard Party, and Mr. Morrow. Nate was also there to talk a little bit about some things, and they took questions from people, and they talked about the things that they were going to do. And they had a little bit of food and some drinks. And I think that the heat really set people on edge, to be honest. Like the one big question that people were asking was the fact that this party got announced on the unofficial San Diego Comic-Con blog. Did that result in a bunch of people who are not insiders coming to the panel? And the feedback and the report out that I heard was maybe 5 or 6 people out of 100 were not people that were recognized as insiders. Everyone else was recognized as insiders. And I think we underestimate how many people who are insiders actually go to Comic-Con. And I mean, I would easily say that I saw 100 insiders at Comic-Con across the several days. Now, not everybody's there for all the days. Not everybody's there for the reason of standing in line, but you see people, you're like, hey, I know you, and they're off doing their thing. So it was mostly insiders, and there were a lot of interesting questions that got asked. So I don't think they got a lot of tough questions. I don't think they actually got a lot of tough questions. DTH had his mic source set wrong. Yeah, I mean, that happens. This is the first time they did it. I don't have a lot of criticism for them trying new things, because I think that they get better. And the one super kudo I always give to the staff is they just keep evolving and getting better and better and better. And so, these little stumbles, it's good for those things to happen in the neighborhood of the insiders, because we're going to be a little more accommodating. If they did that to a large group of people who had never heard of them, stuck them in a room that was like insanely hot, they probably would not have been super happy. We need an insider shirt private sale. Yeah, maybe. Insiders are currently at 40,000. Yeah, but a lot of those are not active users. That's the size of the insiders group is massive, but most of those people are not active. And I would bet a lot of them have notifications turned off for the group, have never posted one time. But we don't need to call that. It's great. That's a great number. I just think it still reflects a very small percentage of the Roosevelts' total business. DTH needs a tech intern. Maybe. I think they were under a lot of pressure. I mean, the first time they had done something like this, and I think it turned out pretty good from my perspective. Now, you couldn't hear on the stream, but they wanted people to not feel included. That's the significance. And the fact that they've done trivia at some of these events and included and put it on stream, I think those are the signals that they're trying to be inclusive and let people in. Yes, there's technical issues. So, it's a swinging strike in that case, but it will be fixed next time, I'm positive. Add to that the heat, right? There's a little bit of a maelstrom of circumstances that were a little bit beyond their control. And that was that. Now, they did have some food. People were a little underwhelmed by the food. Some people were expecting more food. I don't know why they were expecting more food, but they advertised that they had a couple hours of an open bar and things along those lines and stuff. Again, I didn't attend personally. I'm just getting this kind of second and third hand in some cases, but some people weren't super happy with the food. All that stuff can get fixed. So I think all of that stuff is correctable and will be resolved by the time they do another one of these events, which I expect they will try it. I think again at New York Comic-Con. I think they will try it again at New York Comic-Con. So they answered questions for a while. I think that they could have used a better moderator type person to kind of help shape the narrative. You don't want to just get shot questions at you indefinitely. You want a shape of the story, and then you want to make sure that you get people involved. Dan says he commented he was asked last minute to live stream. I heard him say he had a separate mic, but obviously wasn't using that source, and had my earbuds in. Yeah, that's fair. And so I think next time that'll be on the list of tasks to make sure that are in good shape. All that stuff will get fixed, but the intention was a positive one. Now, what kind of questions did they answer? Coming back to the Camp Kunu thing, this is actually going to be significant. What they're trying to do is evolve the mechanism by which the loyalty program is going to operate. So today, the loyalty program, you buy shirts, and for every, $10 you spend, or no, I guess it's every $1 you spend, you get 10 points, and those points can be redeemed. You can get a discount code for up to $50 off of a shirt, which is great. You can get free shipping, which if you respond to the asks when they ask you to post a social media post or send them a review, and you can perpetually get free shipping or 15% off. If you pay for shipping, you're either worried that the drop is going to sell out, and so you don't worry about trying to apply the code because you're more worried about having the shirt get snaked underneath you, or you're just not responding to these things. So you should be responding, especially insiders. People who are listening to this kind of thing should be responding to all of that stuff. But they're going to actually have a lot more involved missions or quests or things that can be done. So checking in at the booth, for example, or any booth that they work out a relationship with could result in you getting loyalty points. And those loyalty points may be redeemable for different things. So right now, those are all about discounts on your purchases, free shipping, 15% off, $40 off or $50 off, right? But now imagine that you could redeem those points and to attend the panel we just talked about. Or let's say you could redeem a certain number of points and have a visit to the HQ in Hoboken, and they take you on a tour of how they actually construct the shirts. There's going to be a lot more fun, interesting kind of reasons and ways to interact with them socially. The thing I'm hoping that they actually lean into is the opportunity to activate the insiders to perform good acts in communities from a charitable standpoint or from a volunteering standpoint. I think there would be nothing cooler than everybody picking out a shirt and wearing that to Habitat for Humanity and spending a day helping to build houses for people. And, you know, when you go to those types of things, they know you're not a house builder. They know you're not a general contractor, right? They know they give you jobs that are within your wheelhouse to be able to do. So I know that there is going to be a bunch of journey quest types of activities that you can do. And that's going to make things a little different, a little interesting, and a little fun. And some of the things that you can complete, I believe, are actually also going to unlock special merchandise. If anybody here plays Destiny 2 or Destiny, Bungie has done an outstanding job of this. If you are one of the people who plays in the special battle or some big instance or historical thing, they will give you limited access to buy a special shirt that was a commemorative of that thing. And once they're gone, which is exactly in the wheelhouse of what Roosevelts likes to do. So I have a feeling that they will spend a lot of energy trying to design and have a whole campaign about how to make the experience of coming to a con or participating in a meetup be much more than people standing in line and standing around booths, because that's a lot of times what happens. You meet people, you stand in line. Oh, hey, how are you? That's cool. But what if you could be doing a quest around the con or something along those lines? So I'm actually very excited about this. I'm very eager to see what the final details are. They're going to be announced on Monday. I don't think we'll know everything, but by the time we have our next cast next Thursday, we should have a lot of interesting insights and things to focus on. So let's see. Dan says, let me know if anybody needs a 15% coupon. Everybody always needs a 15% coupon, Dan. Arxidia says, fantastic idea. I would totally get on that. Yes. Thank you. I'm glad. You know, these are social gaming aspects are kind of one of the areas that I do in my day job or have done in my day job. So these are the kinds of things that games build in that make it easier to find your friends, play with your friends, do special things with your friends, be rewarded for doing that. Anthony of the Sea says, yes, the community work. I do that for my full-time work at TD Bank. We make meals at Ronald McDonald House in Philly and other things like a dog rescue. Now imagine that's insiders. I mean, it's huge. And it's positive brand promotion as well. It's this group of people who likes to wear these loud, weird shirts, and now they're out doing good in community. So I am thrilled and excited about that opportunity. I really hope they lean into that community aspect of it. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's kind of continue on. So also, as part of the panel, they gave away certain things. Now, what kind of things did they give away? They gave away the next prototype for the backpack, the Roosevelts backpack, and Tyler Nelson actually was the winner of that. So they had like 12 different things. Some of them were shirts. Most of them were shirts, I should say. One person got the tiger jumpsuit from Star Wars Celebration that they were walking around with, which was the hoodie, the performance hoodie, and the joggers. They gave away one of those sets. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing. They gave away the prototype backpack, and then they gave away a bag, I think, that had a koozie in it, and it also had a PGA polo, which I I don't know if that was a leftover from the PGA event, from the Breakfast Ballers event. It had a lot of similar characters to the Little Kunu shirt that they gave away a couple of years ago at Mosh Isley. Same artist, but just kind of in a different scene. So it wasn't an exclusive shirt. They never promised an exclusive shirt, and so they gave a shirt. They gave away a bunch of other stuff. That was pretty cool. All told, though, I think it was a good idea. They're just playing in a different pool. And in the same way I just said, the game to get shirts and to get on the show floor, to get those wristbands is upped at Comic-Con. Well, I'll be honest with you. You got drone shows that have Galactus, and you've got Ferris wheels, and you've got a lot of competition for attention at Comic-Con. And so I think if Roosevelts really wants to make a splash at like this next year, they're going to have to take a long, hard look at what worked, what didn't work, what can be, what they're willing to spend. Obviously, renting these ballrooms and paying for all this stuff, it might have best case been a break even, at best case been a break even. So I think they're going to have to spend some more time thinking about this. And yes, love it, Ron. Be a Steve. Be a Steve. Okay, so I think that is about all I'm going to say about the panel, about San Diego Comic-Con and Roosevelts, just in general. If you got any questions, go ahead and throw them into the chat. I'm happy to answer. I'm going to move on to the next phase here. And, I have every reason to expect my co-host to join here. So he has not joined yet. I know he was a little frustrated because they pulled a late night on him out of the blue, which is part of the reason why he wasn't here. This is a standing time for us. He, I think, was a little frustrated by work, but that's how it goes. This is fun, and that's work. So let's quickly take a look at the shirts that have been announced since our last show. Let me get into my position. Let me see. Oh, there I go. No. How about that? It did it. Very fun. All right, so let's switch over here and let me share my screen here to show you guys what we're talking about. So thanks to Ricky and Ron, we were actually able to cover off on a lot of the stuff that came out last week. They went over the Star Wars, the Squid Game stuff. I think they went over the Star Wars stuff. There were some really good drops in there. And but what's new since then? Lord of the Rings is new. Sonic the Hedgehog just dropped today. And of course, there's another drop zone. So let's go in and look at this Lord of the Rings stuff. Now, what was really interesting when the Lord of the Rings announcement actually came out, we saw Carlos Cortez in the advertising. And Carlos is a great insider. He was actually at San Diego Comic-Con. If you don't know him, he's a really, really cool dude. And it was super interesting to see him, but he was not the only person. And so we'll kind of see if we can catch a look at him. Here was the One Ring. I guess maybe they didn't use them in these shots. A couple of really great looks. I expect that there will be a gold colorway of this shirt that's going to show up somewhere. Maybe this is an exclusive for San Diego. I don't know. But I can imagine a gold version of this shirt. But this is the One Ring. Love it. Love that it's tumbling and falling. I think the design is great. This was a standout for me. There were a few others that I thought were really cool or worth noting. You've got this All Day Polo meets Back on the Menu, boys, which is an orc shout out. They got a lot of really cool sketches of these different orcs. I thought they were pretty cool. They're all in there. Interesting shirt. You gotta be the right kind of person to wear that shirt. What else was cool here? We cannot pass this one. I think for me, this was the winner, even though I'm not a full panel guy. You Shall Not Pass. This is Gandalf and the Balrog. Man, this shirt is just insane. So interesting sidebar. Before the Lord of the Rings came out, the Fellowship of the Ring, I desperately wanted these movies to be great because I am a massive, massive fan of Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, all of Tolkien's work, including the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales, even the stuff that his son Christopher had kind of continued on. And the one thing in my mind that I wanted to be so good more than anything was this specific scene, right on the bridge of Moria, and the Balrog shows up. You know, they Tolkien takes such pains to talk about and create the visual imagery of this Balrog and what's happening on this cool bridge between him and Gandalf. I love the way that the whip just kind of wraps around and you can see it all over the place there. Man, just a beautiful shirt. I don't look good in these shirts. That's the problem, friends. I like a lot of these designs, but man, this is just a really, really winning design. This is probably the standout for me amongst several standouts. They did some other ones where they had the map, you know, so this has his classic Middle Earth. This was in the liners and the leaves of the actual books and then, you know, kind of printed in. So this was pretty cool. I'm pretty sure that Tolkien drew these, if I remember correctly, which makes them even interesting. I love the red and the black tones. And then, you know, there was this one shirt that people kind of drew attention to, and that was the "I Have Failed You All," which this is, of course, Sean Bean as Boromir, kind of talking about the fact that Aragorn found him. He had tried to take the ring from Frodo. He was about to die, and he kind of copped to the fact that he tried to take the ring. And, you know, and of course, now this shirt is kind of weird. You know, it's kind of a weird design, but one of the designers actually jumped into Insiders and talked about the fact that this shirt was designed with Steve in mind, because Steve really loved a lot of the repeating patterns, kind of humorous, but meme worthy, just like the Macho Man Deep Thoughts or the Bret Hart Deep Thoughts. Those were all shirts that Steve really loved. And so this specific one right here, "I Failed You All," was a nod back to the late co-founder of Roosevelts, Stephen Gebhardt. And so I thought that was extra cool. You know, when you look at this, you might be like, oh, this is kind of meme worthy, but it's really cool to know that that one kind of echoes back to Steve. And I thought that was just something that was really, really cool. A few questions here we have. Yeah, man, it looks like I might be flying solo, and that's okay. I'm here. I'm not alone. I'm with you guys, you know, and I mean, I would love John to be here. But, you know, I understand that the show must go on. So it's a Dustin solo marathon. That's right. You don't get sick of me yet. Don't get sick of me just yet. Why no Tux of the One Ring? Great question. I do not know, because that was an auto tux. I think people would love to have a tux of the One Ring. So Dan, I got nothing. Get yourself a 4X up. Sorry, they're all sold out. You can't get nothing. Ron says, I think You Shall Not Pass should actually have a backside view on the back of the shirt. I agree with you. Now, interestingly, could it be the back of the Balrog and you're looking at Gandalf's front like it's the mirror inverse of the actual front? So you're looking at the Balrog's back and Gandalf's front? Maybe. I don't know. Is that what you're thinking, Ron? And Dan throws a vote of support behind Ron's comment. Yes, Ron. Yeah. So good stuff. I will nerd out with you guys about Lord of the Rings anytime. You want to talk Lord of the Rings? I'm happy to talk Lord of the Rings anytime. I reread the Lord of the Rings. I would say once every couple years, I will go through and reread the books, and that includes The Hobbit. So I'll read all 4 of the books. I would not go so far as to call myself a scholar, and I've probably forgotten a lot of the things that I used to know. But man, it's amazing to me how that book, which I discovered when I was a 5th grader, I discovered The Hobbit when I was a 5th grader, how I've reread those books at so many different times over different phases of my life, and how there's always something new and a different take. When I was a kid, when they had the poems or the songs, I was just like, this is all nonsense. And now that's some of the best stuff. That's some of the best world building. It's so descriptive. It tells you that you're in a world that's lived in, that's been well considered. The fact that they've got the Elvish language that he designed, just all kinds of really great stuff. So I am absolutely a super fan of the Lord of the Rings. If you ask me if I bought any of these shirts, I couldn't. I was busy at the show. There was no way. And so I went back to get some scraps. There were no scraps. I feel good about the fact that this will probably restock though, or I'm betting on being able to get them at the Outpost at New York Comic Con. So there we go. And yes, for Frodo, indeed. Okay, so let's jump back over and take a look at today's drop. Now, today's drop was actually pretty cool because it includes good old Sonic the Hedgehog. Where you at, Sonic? Oh, wonder why it didn't do that. There we go. I wanted this banner. I wanted to show this banner. This is pretty cool. Sonic the Hedgehog. This is an iconic game. Started on the Sega Genesis. This was the system seller for the Sega Genesis. And if you guys, I talk a lot about video games, but that is because I have worked professionally in video games for a very long time. My whole career, with a couple of exceptions, has been in video games. And so, that's cruising up on 26 years. 26 years I've been working in video games. So I remember getting a Sega Genesis, and I didn't even own it at first. I rented it from a video store, and it came with Sonic the Hedgehog. And I remember playing Sonic the Hedgehog, and I was still in school, but man, I played it nonstop because there were no saves, and you wanted to beat the game. You had to legitimately beat the game. So seeing Sonic here on some shirts is pretty cool. They definitely captured the best essence of so many of the different Sonic things. So first off, this polo that's just right here. Well, I guess I'll go through. So I didn't completely love this. This one's kind of cool. I love that they got the pocket right. I'm a snob for the pocket, but you can see Sonic is sitting well. It's not a matched pocket, but it's good. It's good enough in this kind of case. I like the character. This is not a shirt for me, but you start getting into the Sonic Essentials here. Now we can see all of these different pieces of the levels, right? And you've got Tails, you've got Knuckles in here, you've got Dr. Robotnik, you've got all the different spike traps and things like that. You've got rings scattered through. You've got the checkpoint loops. You've got the power-ups, the jumps. This is cool. This is literally they dumped over the building blocks of the game and put them all on a shirt. So I actually like this shirt a lot for its heritage more than I like it for the design, but I would totally wear this shirt. This is definitely a good shirt. Sonic Interrupted here. This one is also really good. You can see when Sonic got hit, he would explode his rings, and there would be this animation that would drop. You'd have up to 100 rings, and they would all explode. As long as you had one ring, you were immune. You get hit, you'd lose your ring, but if you had one hit point, as long as you had a ring. And so these are great because the majority of these are the original Sonic that goes back to the actual Genesis. Yes, they did include Knuckles and Tails in that second shirt that I showed you. This shirt, the power-ups, these are all the power-up boxes that give you extra life, immunity, the turbo shoes, which are super fun. You can see these are just like these little icon boxes straight out of the Sega Genesis game. Awesome. Let's shop Sonic. Those are the four that showed up on the top. What else is really good? The spinning maze. This is one of the bonus sections. If you ended up getting the right combination of things, and you could jump through the ring at the end, and it would put you into this maze that you had to play. It was like a bonus level, which was really cool. Showed off a lot of the graphical power and processing of the Genesis. A lot of other good ones. I'm just going to focus on two more, and I'm going to finish in the last one here. This one, the Blue Streak. This one's cool. It's more of a cartoonish stylized Sonic here, kind of rushing across, but he's on brand. It looks good. And then, in my opinion, the very best, the Green Hill Zone. This is the iconic first level of Mario. Oh, sorry, not Mario, Sonic. And I love that they have the graphics here. Look at the pixelation of the sky, because they had to save memory. They had to get by using pixelation here. All of this stuff was on a ROM, so it's all baked in there. You had the floor down below, the spikes, all really good stuff. Just awesome. And let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. They did have tuxes and women's cuts for a lot of these. Note, though, that these say coming soon for the women's cuts. So I'm kind of curious, and the preschool cuts. They had a couple of hats. They had a ball marker, Dr. Eggman. They had this Sonic hat, the Hedge hat. Not bad. I like that it's got the rings here on the side. It's a snapback. Show me the inside. Yep. So you got the breakfast balls kind of branding there. Pretty good. Pretty good. Let's see what this one looks like on the side. Is there any kind of side design of this one? Probably not. It's just breakfast balls. So, great drop. Great drop. There is one thing I do want to point out that I want to go back to Lord of the Rings and show you guys something. I don't know if everybody saw this, and I don't want to forget it because it was something. Okay, now check this out. I don't know if you saw this, but I did actually see this at the booth. So we don't normally talk a lot about the head covers for clubs, but this one is really funny because this one is Gollum. So, you put this over a driver or something like that. And they actually sold a ball marker that would magnetize to the finger. So you would never lose it. So the head cover would always have the ball marker, and the ball marker is the one ring. Super cool. Josh Clements got this. And he did, I don't think he bought the head cover, but he did buy the ball marker. And really cool, really, really fun. I love it. This was kind of like the first of its kind. So pretty awesome, pretty fun. All right, now let's go back here and see any new questions. Dan says, women and kids are coming soon. Note that the app doesn't show them at all. I did not notice that, Dan. So thank you for that comment. That was really cool. The second ring drop to rule them all. Exactly. Now, when do we get the drop for the Ring horror movie? Oh, gosh, man. Probably not till spooky season. Not till spooky season. They should have ball markers in the paddle grips. Sure, of course. I don't know how much golf you guys play. When I lived in Orlando, I used to play a lot more golf because it was just a social thing to do. And I had a lot of friends that worked at golf courses that gave me trade out. I worked in a nightclub and DJ supply store. A lot of DJs would get free foursomes from different courses. And so I would hook them up with something. They would give me a free foursome. So I used to be able to play at a lot of places for free. I had like free foursomes, and I never got good at it, but I always enjoyed going out there. Love to go out and see the actual gators that are on the courses and stuff like that. They don't mess with you if you don't mess with them usually, but it's always fun. Oh, you said putter. Should have ball markers on the putter grips. Yeah, I think you're right, because that's the time when you need it the most. Like the most time you need a ball marker when you're on the green. And so having it actually on the putter grips makes the most sense, because then when you pull it out, it's going to be there. Anthony says spooky season is tomorrow. Is that true? I guess it's August. Tomorrow's August 1st. Yeah, is that the official start of spooky season? I did not know that. Okay, the last thing I want to chat about here before we kind of close up is the drop zone. The drop zone tomorrow. So there is a drop zone that they put up. It says number 76. It's a drop zone number 76. Mustache sold separately. There've been a lot of ideas and things that people have been pushing on and trying to think of. I think it's going to be a Mr. Potato Head. That's what I'm going for. Mr. Potato Head. Because Mr. Potato Head, mustache sold separately kind of makes sense. It would be a little weird if they put a licensed shirt into a drop zone, because a drop zone is usually an original design. So it might be Groucho Marx, kind of glasses and mustache, kind of the disguised mustache. But that wouldn't track or make sense with the drop, with the clue. So I guess we'll see. That's at noon tomorrow, 9 a.m. for us West Coasters. And I don't know. But Dan says, I must ask you your opinion. Well, my opinion is I don't know what it is, but I hope that it is actually something fun. I think it will just be a bunch of mustaches. Well, All right, Ron, let's see. Let's see how that turns out. And yeah, I think that that is the way it goes. But yeah, well, we'll see what we think it is. But yeah, hey friends, it's been a lot of fun here. We've been going for a little over an hour, almost an hour and a half here. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. I had to do all the talking this time, but maybe John has to do all the talking next time. I know that I have a bunch of travel coming up, so we may have some adjustments and some tweaks to kind of go down, but I am sure that we will get you your podcast coverage consistently. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to stay with the Thursday evening. Now, I do want you guys to let us know what you think about the time. That's really important because it's something that I usually am leaving work early on Thursdays, blocking out to do that 7 o'clock window. Now, John, with the potential schedule shift, we might need to adjust that. So we really want your feedback on the time that would make sense. Go over to the Facebook page and drop a comment under the announcement for this event, or you can send us an email, wearablefandom@gmail.com, and let us know, when do you think we should be doing the stream live? And be reasonable to the fact that I'm on the West Coast, John's on the East Coast, and we have people tuning in from both coasts to watch. We want everybody to be able to join. So we're trying to find the sweet spot. So you guys have a chance to influence what that looks like. So we've done 4 West Coast, 7 East Coast for a few weeks. This is the first time doing it at 5. Should we move it to later? Like, does it make sense to do it later? Maybe you guys have kids to put to bed or something else to do that, or maybe there's something coming on TV that you need to watch that you don't need to be hanging out with this on this podcast. Let us know. Let us know what you guys think. And we will adjust accordingly. Be on the lookout, of course, on our Facebook page. And of course, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to Wearable Fandom. We're trying to get the channel over to 500. What happens when that happens? Well, the channel gets monetized and we get to take whatever earnings we make from the channel and put that back into the quality of producing the content that you see here on Wearable Fandom and on Wear Mighty Things. So thank you guys for hanging out. It's been a blast. Thank you for listening to all of my opinions, which are mine and mine alone. 6 p.m. Mountain Time was great. 8 p.m. looks great. So maybe we have found a winning start time. That's it for this time. I'm going to sign off with our traditional Wear Mighty Things. So long, everybody.